think your client can see you a little bit better that way.
Yeah, I can see them better.
Good. Okay. So this is People of the State of Michigan versus Desmond Williams, docket number 16-1067FH. And this is the time set for sentencing. Mr. Williams, obviously we're doing this remotely with you in the jail. Is that okay with you, that you're not here in person?
Kind of, sort of, yes, because I didn't want to transport around with the stuff going around, so it'd be convenient for you guys and me, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So you were convicted of possession of less than 25 grams of cocaine. That is a felony punishable by up to 4 years in prison. You have the right to be represented by an attorney, and you are represented by Mr. Milks, who is present in the courtroom. But you've consulted with Mr. Milks, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Milks, have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report in particular with your client?
I did, Your Honor. We had the opportunity to review that report. There's a few very minor corrections, nothing to the guidelines, Your Honor.
Sure, I'll take your corrections.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under the evaluation plan, in the first page, Your Honor, or first paragraph, it just says that the client was represented by Public Defender Stephen Milks. Obviously, I represent him now, but he, throughout this entire case, was represented by Craig Davis, I believe.
Yeah, I noted that in your email changes, but I think I'm going to decline to fix that. He's represented by you now, so.
Very good. Then the court said that you got my email, just put some of my.
Yes, so there was something back in the end of the report.
It's under education.
Education.
Yes.
And I changed that.
Okay.
So it'll show that he was in that high school from 2007 to 2010.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that's correct, not
Okay.
72 and 75.
Okay, and were those your only two corrections then?
Your Honor, I believe those were the only two corrections, Your Honor, yes.
And you said no objection to the guidelines?
No objection to the guidelines, Your Honor.
Did the people have any corrections to the report or objections to the scoring of the guidelines?
Only, Your Honor, and I apologize, Mr. Milks, I didn't catch you ahead of time, but PRV, it doesn't change the range, but PRV 5 is scored at 0 and should be 2 for his prior possession of marijuana. I think he did not receive HIDA. Well, he did, but I think he came back. Never mind, we cannot. The status, his HIDA status, I wasn't exactly sure on, but I guess we can just leave it as is since it doesn't change the range. As I look back, I was like, well, maybe they did let him keep his HIDA status.
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
Because he was on an absconder status at the time of this offense, so.
Right.
But in the end, since it doesn't change the range, I guess I can,
Yeah.
because I was unsure, I guess we'll just leave that as is. But I think
Yeah,
either
okay.
way, it does affect his ability to receive 7411. So I did want to point that out. Obviously, this plea happened 3 years ago, and he's been on an absconder status since. But just I think that would affect the 7411 eligibility as well.
But if we're leaving it at 0 because he got
HIDA.
HIDA, then it won't affect his ability to get
True.
7411. Okay. So, and that's what we've agreed we're doing?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll agree with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then that was your only, you don't have any real changes, correct?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And did the people wish to be heard?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Milks?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry, there might be one more change, an address change, Your Honor.
Okay.
The address that my client has given me is 18671 Mackey Street, Mackay, and that's Detroit.
No.
No?
Excuse me. It's Blackmore. That's McKay is the old one.
Yep.
Sorry about
You're right.
Okay. Yeah, that's what they have. They have Blackmore in
Yep.
the PSI.
Okay, then
So that's
everything's
right.
good.
That's okay?
No, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, sorry, thank you, Your Honor.
That's okay. Go ahead.
All right. Your Honor, I am asking in this matter that the court adopt the recommendations here. When I first saw the recommendations myself, I thought that was rather gratuitous, almost, to the extent that obviously my client has been absconding for 3 years, and that's a big or tall request. And for just about any client of mine, I'd be be advising them, look, there's a very strong likelihood that we're not going to get it here. Even though he's absconded since 2017, Your Honor, he actually has made some pretty significant changes to his life. This was a co-defendant case, is my understanding. His co-defendant was his cousin, actually a very, very good friend apparently, not actually related to my client. Back in 2017, the co-defendant in this matter apparently was the ride for my client. I don't know what happened with the co-defendant's case or what's going on there, but the ride fell through. My client said that he attempted to make some efforts to get to court. Obviously that fell through. And the more time that went on, the scarier it got. The more that it weighs on an individual, and he tried to move forward. Not the best choice at all. In fact, it was rather stupid, and my client knows that. And we've talked about that at length here. And if the court's going to give any sort of opportunity here for probation, it would be with a very, very short rope, if that were even to be given here. Even though he's been on absconder status, Your Honor, back then in 2017, he was a little bit younger. He had some issues at home that caused him to leave the house to move in with his cousin. His cousin did not put my client in the best situations, and my client willingly went with his cousin, thereby not putting himself in these good situations. Over the past 3 years, he's no longer seen his cousin. And that was the last time that he talked to him, back then when they were both arrested, is my understanding. For the past year, he's had a new girlfriend. Both of them have been working factory jobs, working on the assembly lines, making decent money. Back then, my client didn't have a car. He now has transportation. He has his own car, and he has moved back in with his parents, even though the fighting back then is kind of what was the catalyst to my client leaving and making some not great choices. He's back with his parents, whose one rule is that as long as he's working, he can stay there and getting himself on his feet. He's no longer around individuals who are making dumb decisions or putting him in bad positions where he would agree. He is an introvert, which he and I both share, and I think that's important and relevant here because he gets in his own head often. And he gets on that hamster wheel, and a bad choice can soon fester and get worse when he's not acting on it. But he also hasn't had any arrests over the past 3 years, Your Honor, I think, which is important.
Well, he just got arrested.
Except for obviously here, Your Honor. I don't
He got
believe there's any
arrested by
charges.
Detroit Police Department for a concealed weapon.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I thought that was for the, was that for the YTA? I could be wrong.
No, look at
You're
number.
right. No, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your Honor is absolutely correct.
That sort of changes everything you said, doesn't it?
It changes quite a bit, Your Honor. It does. And a lot of this has come from what my client and I were discussing when we did talk. And I think the thing that I see here is that he does have a good head on his shoulders. Obviously, a few bright moments shine, but in not the best light. Your Honor, I hope and pray that he's capable of change. If there's an opportunity here, it's one where he has to build trust. I don't know how much of that he has in stock right now. But with what he has done, outside of these new allegations at this point, he does have some very positive aspects that I hope that he won't let overshadow what he is capable of and what he can do here, Your Honor. So, understanding the recommendations, understanding that the probation officer who reviewed this saw all these other aspects in his life, I would ask that the court adopt the recommendations here. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Mr. Williams, what would you like to say?
First off, I want to start off by apologizing for not showing back up in 2017 for sentencing, not on purpose, but I wasn't in my right mind back then. But now I moved on. I'm older now, 27 years old. I understand now that if I keep running from situations, I'm gonna end up back in jail, and I don't like jail at all. So if I just do what you guys say, I won't end up in jail. And I'm working, I got a car now, everything, so it's not hard for me to do a lot of stuff now. And I'm taking care of my mom and my parents getting older. And it's a lot of stuff that I have to do to help them out and stuff like that. So I'm really not into doing nothing anymore. The case I just caught in Detroit I purchased that from a firearm store. I didn't, my bad. Sorry. I didn't know.
Well,
That's
no,
what it-
your lawyer doesn't want you to talk about that for your own benefit, because you have
Okay,
a
I'm sorry,
pending
I'm
charge.
sorry. Okay, that's all I have to say. I'm sorry about that. I'm a changed man. I'm trying to move on with my life. That's all, you know. I'm sorry about everything that happened in 2017. I'm moving on from that. And I hope whatever you do is, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, well, Mr. Williams, I mean, let's be real about this. You say you didn't show up, but you didn't do it on purpose. You did do it on purpose. So, you know, if you want to go forward and do better and make changes, the first thing you have to do is be honest and accept responsibility for yourself.
Yeah,
No?
yeah.
You hear me? So, you know, right now, you're headed on a track that doesn't look real promising, and yet I see in you promise. And you're gonna throw it away. You're gonna throw it away. So if ever there was a time to change and be real about it and be honest about it, it would be right now. I don't know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. You know, it's an arrest in Detroit, so I don't consider an arrest the same, obviously, as a conviction. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. But if ever there was a time to make changes and be honest with yourself, it is right now, unless you want to throw your life away. Do you have plans for your future?
Yes, I'm supposed to be that kid. I wanna get married. It's a lot of stuff I wanna do. My parents, they still ain't got grandkids.
Your parents sound okay to me, that, you know, as long as
Yeah.
you're working, you can stay there. I like that idea a lot.
Cause I
But-
helped them a lot, cause they getting older, so I helped them a lot.
There you go. So you want to protect your parents and help them as they
Yes.
get older. You want to get married, have a family. I'm sure you want to remain employed. You know, those are all good things. You won't achieve them if you sit around and tell yourself things like, well, I didn't show up, but I wasn't in my right mind, so I didn't do it on purpose. You know, that's
Right.
not going to, no good. Let's just be real, okay?
Yes,
And you know, if the only reason that you comply with probation is that you don't want to go back to jail, that's good enough for me right now. You know, I always say fake it till you make it. Because if that's your motivation, it works for me. So do what you're supposed to do on probation, and at some point, you might find that things are better for you. And
Right.
you're working more towards achieving those goals through probation. You hear me?
yes,
Okay. So I'm going to place you on probation for a period of 18 months. I will grant your petition for treatment under section 7411, and you will be sentenced to 43 days in jail with credit for 43 days served. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $68 in state costs, oversight fees in the amount of $180 payable at the rate of $10 a month, costs in the amount of $250, which is a big reduction from the State Court Administrative Office calculated average cost of a criminal case in Ingham County. Now, there's additional conditions of probation, Mr. Williams, and I want you to listen to them very carefully. They're not that
Okay.
hard. They're not that hard, and they're expected and required of you if you want to succeed with all the goals that you gave me. You
Okay.
must not use or possess alcoholic beverages or controlled substances or drug paraphernalia or medical marijuana. You must comply with both drug and alcohol testing as your agent directs. You must complete an adult education or a GED program as directed by your agent. You must complete a cognitive behavioral program. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You cannot possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must comply with all the written and verbal orders of your agent. Let the agent into your home at any time. Submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant, and report any changes to your agent within 24 hours. Your probation supervision may be transferred to Wayne County upon your verified residence in Wayne County. Mr. Williams, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. It will explain that more in a form that we will send out in the mail to you. And do you have any questions?
No, but I just wanted to say thank you, that's all.
Well, you're welcome, but the way you could say thank you best is to do something for yourself, and that is
Yes.
follow all the terms of probation and make a better life for yourself.
Yes, I will.
All right, good luck.
All right.
You can tell them at the jail that you're all done.
Oh, one more question,
Yes,
okay, so you said, what'd you say? Oh, 43 days counted, I don't know how that went. Okay, so today is the 43rd day.
yeah, I gave you credit for time
Okay.
served, so with no hold, you'll get out. I don't know what the situation is in Wayne County
Okay.
with a bond or whatever, but I'm not
Okay,
holding. Okay,
Okay, that was my understanding, okay, thank you.
all right, good luck.
Would the court like us to mail to him the notice of appeal?
We've been-
Oh, okay.